This week's episode is another in the mini series that I am doing where I'm inviting guests who are embodying their design to talk about that, to talk about what it is that they are embodying, to talk about their experience of embodying their design, and to show them through my Kismet Code cards what I see in their design and offer them a little opportunity to see things differently or to dive a little bit deeper. And this week's guest is the founder of New Earth Business, an energetics growth specialist, Kelly Vikings. Now, Kelly is a manifester, and she is somebody who understands human design, who has her own take on this sort of work and on energetics. And this conversation was very different from the other two, as is completely expected with a manifester. We went to a totally different place than I was expecting us to go. And what that meant is that this episode is a little longer than you are used to. So maybe apologies for that, and maybe you love it. Let me know how you feel about the longer episode after you have listened. Instead of being about 40 minutes, it's about 55, I think. And it is a really, really interesting listen for everybody, but particularly if you are a manifestor or you have manifestors in your world, I'd love to see how you experienced this, what you learned from it. Please share your takeaways with us. It was such a beautiful, beautiful episode. And yeah, I look forward to hearing your feedback.
You are listening to Adulting with Ebony. Season 7 brings together neurodiversity, human design, and embodiment so that Gen X or millennial misfits and late diagnosed neurospices become empowered, embodied, and fully expressed. This is the show where I actively encourage you to feel your feelings rather than think them. Glow up, not grow up, and become full of yourself. Because who the fuck else should you be full of? Each week, I have real and raw conversations about what it takes to be fully resourced and have happy, healthy, intimate relationships as a dopamine-deficient adult wanting to create a better future by being the change that you want to see in the world. I am your host, Ebony Allard, aka Ebony Alchemy, a late diagnosed ADHDer, combined type and Asperger's in case you like specifics, artist, mystic, and self-actualization facilitator. I'm an international award-winning multiple brain integration technique master coach with special interest in embodied human design for neurodivergence. I've been in the personal development, creativity, and entrepreneurship spaces all of my life, and as a 5/2 emotional manifesting generator with a left angle cross of distraction, I am here to help you know what to trust and what to tune out. Each week, I share relatable, practical ways that mean you get to take less responsibility for more reward and safely remove your camouflage for more belonging, acceptance, and fulfillment. Ready? Let's go.
Okay, I'm excited for this one for lots of reasons. And I'm excited because so far I've only had the deck literally a week today. And I've been asking it questions and being like, I could pull out any cards. And the ones that it showed me that I needed to pull out for you, it's like, okay, haven't done them for anyone else yet. And then I looked at a little bit more of your design. I was like, oh, of course, that's why you wanted those ones. There's two little links. So we may get through it or we may not. We'll see how we go. My first question to you is, how much do you know about your human design? And to me, you're somebody who really embodies it, and I want to kind of explore that a bit deeper. Tell me what you know about your design.
Really powerful question, actually. I certainly know a lot more now than when I was younger, when I obviously wasn't aware of my manifestor vibes or any of the channels or any of my emotional design as well. And I think if I'd have had a parent, like I always think about my children, as I'm a mum of 3 boys who, are all over 16 years old now. And my youngest is a manifestor, an emotional manifestor. And it's like, I really wish I'd had parents that had understood me, because honestly, I was very different as a child, and I really struggled in school. I struggled with my relationship with my mum. I struggled with my relationship with my teachers. I struggled with my relationship with my friends. And everyone said, "Oh God, I'm still good friends with some of my school friends." And they would go, "We just knew you were going to do something very different and on your own thing, because you never followed the rules." And I never did. Um, I had a lot of respect for my elders and my teachers, and I learned their wisdom. But I always felt, I didn't want to be told. I didn't want to be put in a box. I didn't want to be confined. And if I had something to say, I would say it. And sometimes that would come from a wounded space within me. And I didn't realize how polarizing that could be for some people.
Mm.
It then led into my like 20s, 30s, if you like, of just mix hash of different relationships where I always thought it was them, like they're doing, and because of how they treated me, or, and it was very quick to blame rather than looking actually at my own unique design. It's quite vulnerable sharing this, it's like,
Yeah,
it's
and
my
what's really
truth.
interesting to me
Yeah.
is that you have shared in such a different way from everybody else, right? Like everyone else has been like, so I'm a 2/4 emotional manifestor, end. And instead,
Wow.
we've got story from you to the exact same question, right? And I love that because again, it's just such an example of how we perceive the exact same information depending on our design,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we have such a different response to it. And
Yeah.
that piece of I was kind of misunderstood, or I wish I'd had different parents, or I had these urges to like share, and then it felt quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
That is part of your design, and it's part of the soul journey and map and experience
Yeah.
that you signed up for, that you wanted to experience. And
100%.
I love
100%.
that. So to get into the kind of nitty-gritty bits of what you were saying,
Yeah.
emotional manifestor, single definition,
Yeah.
2/4. Anything else that you know? Like, do you know what your conscious sun is? Do you use any of your design in your work at the moment, or your Mercury, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I am all of those things. I know I'm very much connected to source. A lot of people like with the head gates and then the throat gates. When I'm here to talk the story, to share the experiences of life. But I know obviously I have a closed sacral, so quite often, for me, energetically wise, I really need to listen to my energy. And again, being the hermit, the two line that comes in. I'd always say, "Yeah, I'm going to come and do this. Yeah, I'm going to come and do that." And then I'd be so tired. Before we came on air, you were talking about your amazing things that you were doing, which were like 3 days of full on boom, boom. And I was thinking, God, one of those days, and I'd be like literally in my little cave. I know I feel good without my bra and socks on, just pondering around in my house, comfy in my cave. It's, it's my happy space.
I didn't look at
um,
your environment. Interesting. So interesting. Okay, so I
but
want
also what I know with all of this is, you were talking about the kind of intricacies, and I think, it's like it's an evolving thing for me. Like I'm learning constantly about my human design. And I'd like to, for anyone listening, it's like you don't have to have all the answers. But I think what's really nice is I've gradually unfolded like a little more piece and then embodied it, and then another little piece and embodied it. And I quite like that rather than sort of learning it all in one thing. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely. I don't think you can learn it all in one thing. And I think that's the part of the beauty of it. And there really is a hierarchy to embodying it. And so that hierarchy is type. And so a lot of what we've talked about is being a manifestor. And what makes you a manifestor is having a motorized throat
Yeah.
and not having a defined sacral.
Mhm.
So that's really, really important. And then the next thing that we look at is authority. And so how you make decisions. We were talking a little bit before we began about a decision that you were making. And so I'm curious how much you know about your authority and how you use it in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. For me now, I know I don't have to seek permission, and that was a massive, plus for me. It was like, oh, okay, so I'm actually here to make, to initiate whatever it is that comes through, like channel. So, whatever comes through, I know that in those moments, but I also know I don't have to initiate everything. So I can also make decisions, informed decisions, dependent on my energetic flow. And sometimes, rather than just kind of going into this wild action, which is something I did a lot of actually in my 20s 30s, which served me well being in my masculine energy,
Mm.
but now I much prefer being in much more of a balance, and I do listen a lot more, and I take time to make those decisions. And I know I've got a lot of Pisces energy in me as well, in terms of like my sun and moon charts Gemini. So there's a lot of that going on as well, which I know, again, it's a lot of deep emotions. And I am very sensitive in my approach to everything in life.
Yeah. So, as an emotional authority, the kind of correct way for you to use your energy and make decisions is to decide based on what feels good
Yeah.
over a consistent period of time. So that means that waiting for 24 hours, right? Or waiting for consistent clarity, because as an emotional authority, and I am one as well, there is no truth in the moment.
Yeah.
An emotional authority, as the information presented to you needs to evolve and deepen as you ride out your wave, because
Yeah.
feelings are not facts. Now, there are 4 different types of wave, and you can have 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves. I have 1, and it's a subtle wave. You have 2 waves, both of which are a spontaneous wave.
Mhm.
And one is conscious and one is half conscious, half unconscious. And the one that, and one of them, because it's such a big deal for you, because it's also attached to your sun, your conscious sun. So part of your life's work purpose is really about expressing emotion and the impact of that. And sometimes that's with words and sometimes that's with silence. And so I wanted to explore that a little bit and show you some of the cards around that to see if it lands differently.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I knew that I was a two wave, but I guess I haven't gone deeply into that and explored it. But I do know that as an emotional manifestor, I have to wait for the wave. And sometimes, like the other day, I had this real rage going on, and I went, "Oh, this is manifestor rage. I can feel it," and I hadn't felt it for probably a couple of years.
Mm.
So it is very emotional, and it was because I was really passionate about something and really pissed off. Can I say that on?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
of course you can. And not only that, like people have this idea that because we've got these signature themes, right? And because rage or anger or annoyance or irritation is the not self theme for manifestors, people have this idea that they should not be experiencing it. The truth is that every time we expand, we're going to be in our not self momentarily or for a period of time. And so it's really important to be in the not self, right? Like it's really important to allow yourself to express anger or irritation or rage in a way that is healthy. And for you, so the length of time for a decision for me is going to be much longer than a length of time for a decision for you, even though you've got 2 waves. And the reason for that is that as the spontaneous wave, the way that it works is, so I was like, should I show you something? I might. So just to go back into the emotional manifestor. So you have that urge.
Yeah.
And you ride the wave in order to get clarity. Then you decide, then you inform and act. Like that's the process for a manifestor. And I'm pretty sure that you do that. Then the piece with the spontaneous wave, right? So these waves, they're all different. And the spontaneous wave is very quick because 1 minute you can be cool, calm, collected, and the next minute you might explode. And you can experience an instant release when that expression is allowed.
Yep.
And that can be really difficult to manage because you don't know when it will happen. But you can take solace in the fact that it is fast to release too. And you touched on this when you were talking about school and stuff. you will have an emotional release.
Mm.
And you need that as part of your wave. It's moving energy, and it's a spontaneous wave, so it will come and it'll be, and it's out through the
Yeah.
throat, right? And it can be powerful in some way. And then everyone around you is like, what the fuck just happened? and
It's so
and you want
true.
to land on them and have an impact in some way, right? And you're like, oh, I feel much better now. What were we
Yeah.
talking?
I've
And
moved on from this now. Right, let's go and build an empire, you know? And I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck just happened? Absolutely, Ebony, described to a T. And it doesn't always have to be rage, it can be me just speaking it.
yeah.
As long as I've said what needs, in my view, needs
Mhm.
to be said, then I just move on.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it can be that quick. It's the emotional release up through the throat. And so the piece of needing to, so you're clearly embodying it, and I can, we can have that. And then there's that other piece of like, okay, how does this impact others? What is the impact that I'm having on others? And how is that part of my design? So your conscious sun, which is where 70% of your neutrinos live, and which is part of one of your spontaneous waves, is gate 12 or code 12, which, if you want, I don't know if you can read the affirmation on there.
Yeah, the freedom I seek comes from expressing my emotion creatively.
Mm.
Beautiful.
And so the code 12 is called the Purist. And code 12 is all about self-expression and timing. It's powerfully transformative, sometimes with its silence and sometimes with its words. It rests in stillness and silence, and then it moves suddenly with the intensity of the spontaneous urge, making significant verbal impact. Code 12 knows the mutative value of its expression and expresses its emotions through art, especially the art of language, in a highly refined way.
Mm. That's me to a T, isn't it? You see it
Fantastic.
coming through my sharing when I post. It comes from my heart. It comes from my soul.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's like a living, breathing piece of written expression. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, it's channeled, it's necessary, it's part of your dharma. For you, it's your brand, it's your life's work. And there's going to be a mixture of um the light end being verbal impact, pure intention, heart-centered, poetic, artistic, romantic, musical, discerning, graceful, articulate, influential, and with the light comes the shade, right? And as it's your conscious sun, you get to experience the full range and really own it all. And the shadow end can cut others with its words, can seem too cautious, clumsy with its expressive timing, melancholy that there is no one worth telling anything to, superiority complex, and the victim for the need for perfection. And what's really beautiful is that with each of these gates, we have a programming partner. And so we have something that allows us to anchor or to raise the frequency when we're in the shadowy or the more dense frequencies of it. And for you, and that's what your conscious earth is in human design. And so for you, that's gate 11, which is this beautiful card here.
Oh, my imagination is a gift and my vision is medicine. That's so beautiful.
And that's what grounds you, right? That is what will raise the frequency. Now, I call it the daydreamer because it's not a night dreamer, it's a daydreamer, and it's all about bringing lightness to your imagination and allowing your imagination and the fantasy to be real and for it to add levity to what can often feel melancholy in that expression. And so, yeah, the programming partner or the piece for you is when it all feels too heavy, is to remember to take time to dream.
Yeah. And there's part of me that says I do that again through my work, but also I sometimes forget to do that because I'm quite hard on myself. So it's a reminder to me, what you've reflected back is like, yeah, I'm doing it, but am I consciously doing it enough? And actually,
Well, So Code 11 is all about removing obscurity with light. It proffers vision in the form of ideas, ideals, imagination, inspiration, and reflection in the hopes of stimulating a brighter future. It dares to dream of peace and harmony. Code 11 knows that abstract ideas and age-old archetypes have the potential to provide solutions and peace by stimulating new perspectives and concepts. Now, when you say you do this in your work, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like the balance of those two together is so evident in your work. And I would say, of course, when we look at your radiance, which is the next one we'll get to, then we get to really look at how you make, like, what it is that provides health for you, or your health check, or your personal power check. But really, that piece is grounding your creative expression, and you do that beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do. And, I've always had that calling as well from being little, that I was here to do something big. But also I learned through conditioning and behavioural that I had to be small and be quiet. So it took me probably 20 years and the tower moment in my life to really come into who I am and unapologetically love every single part of me, but also understand, how I could interact with other people on a much more balanced, harmonious, yeah, just beautiful way. And yeah, running a business online is always, I think, quite a brave thing to do, but to create a revolution and to see a new world unfold and to see how we do business and how we interact on this higher frequency, which is, for me, is what, when I'm conscious and I'm really intentionally like creating my life and my business and even with my team, and it's, oh, I just breathe. Like there's a real peace and freedom in this that just feels so beautiful, but also to me so achievable. Like I can almost taste it. I'm really there. When I visualize, I don't visualize visually because I'm a Fantasian, but it's in my feeling, it's in my soul. And when I visualize that way, it's so possible for yeah, I just can't explain it more. It comes from my heart. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And the physiology. Oh, I'm just looking at the affirmation as you said that. So the affirmation is, my greatest gift is my heart.
Oh,
Mm.
oh.
And
And
the
I'm
one
a soppy sod as well. So I'm
well,
always like,
and like I want to, there's so much I want to share with you because there's reasons for that, and they are the things I pulled out, which is so cool. But I also just wanted to add, so the light end of 11
yeah.
includes upholds ideals, peace and harmony, understands the magic of archetypes, and you have the way that you've implemented archetypes since you've been embodying your design is so spot on.
Yeah. Our world is changed. We are all evolving. Planetary, it's huge, and nobody is unaffected. And rather than being ruled by logic and head, we are all the feeling. And so to be able to really embody your archetype and the work that you do as well, Ebony. This is why I really want to support you, because I know how powerful it is for people. And when we don't understand, or we just kind of go into that hamster wheel of just going into that rule of life, it's like we're furthering away from ourselves. And actually what this now is about is coming home, back to the starting point of who we are, resetting ourselves as well. And old linear concepts are just dissolving so much now, that allowing ourselves to understand all of these things about archetypes and our soul, it's just, yeah, why everyone's doing it, and those that aren't are waking up to the power of it 100%.
Agreed. So, would you like to hear about how you know whether you are in your personal power?
Yes.
Okay. And this is also, so we're talking now your unconscious sun.
Yeah.
And the unconscious sun is two things. It is, whereas the conscious sun is your mind and what you are aware that you bring, and what your intellect, what your inner working brings. the unconscious sun is your vehicle, is your body, is your unconscious, right?
Yeah.
And when you are in the light side of this, you have your personal power within you.
Mm.
When you notice that you're in the shadow end of this, that is when you get to know that you have leaked your personal power.
Mm.
And so in the gene keys, this is your radiance, right? So the way that you work on your vitality, your radiance, your health is to know, am I in the light end of this or am I in the shadow end of this? So for you, it is one of my absolute favorite cards. I'm going to say this a lot already. I can feel like that every episode. One of my absolute favorite cards.
You're allowed. We'll
Yeah.
forgive you.
36, the human storm.
Oh,
I love making people who talk a lot speechless. It's one of my favorite things.
I don't know what to say. I am actually. I'll tell you why. Because I love the story of Inanna and Erica. I love that journeying of the depths, and I believe that we go to the darkest places to bring the light. And my incarnation crosses in the Garden of Eden, and it's just like that. I know that, but this picture epitomizes that so beautifully because she is standing there in her grace with her devil kind of and third eye, the all eye, and she looks a little bit like Amy Winehouse, but also there's a Prince kind of theme going with her. She's deep mystic, and there's something that just speaks to me through that image. It's like it's a code. It's beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
absolutely, it's powerful. It's beautiful. It's mesmerizing almost. I love it.
Do you want to read the affirmation?
I don't know. I just want to keep looking at the card, to be honest.
You keep looking at the card. I will read the info on this
Go
code.
for it.
Code 36 is all about cycles of crisis and compassion, witnessing and staying open to the full spectrum of life, from suffering to sex. Intensity is at the heart of what it means to have humanity. Life is overwhelming and fragile. Both pain and ecstasy are an integral part of being human. Harnessing empathy during emotional crisis, it soothes us with its surrender and knows that by trusting everything it feels, a natural brilliance will emerge. Code 36 knows that compassion is the key to overcoming suffering and seeing the humanity in each other.
Wow.
So, at the light end, this is compassion, humanity, gentleness, emotional maturity, feels intensely, driven to have an experience, sexual hunger and drive, aliveness, readiness, depth, equanimity, waits for clarity, loves, rabbit holes. The shadow end, crisis, turbulence, chaos, overwhelm, leaping before looking, impatience, easily triggered feelings, nervousness over expectations, restlessness, and fear of inadequacy. And so for you, like, you know, when you feel a fear of inadequacy or when you are in overwhelm or experiencing turbulence or crisis, that you've given your personal power away.
Mm. Which is what happened throughout my 20s and 30s. And yeah.
And the way to reclaim that power is
Embodiment of my design.
It's through the earth, the unconscious earth. So we're given a specific code for that, which is, I do have a soft spot for these two cards together because I have them in a different place. And as does someone who's very, very important and special to me. And he has very similar setup, just a different way around in his design. So this card is called the Led by Lover.
Oh.
And code 6 is all about conflict and peace in relationships. Friction holds the potential for deeper connection and intimacy. Code 6 knows that maturity and emotional intelligence come when we take responsibility for our emotions, use discernment to determine what to work through and what to let go of in the name of love, peace, and harmony. So the
Wow.
and this it's very important to me because it forms part of the subtle wave. It's a part of how I make decisions. It's a it's a very special card. But for you, understanding that when you're creating conflict
Mm.
and picking fights that aren't necessary,
Mm.
that you get to remember the 36, right? Like compassion, and come back to everyone and every human experience is valid and no one is out to get you, and that kind of thing. So these two work together. And this is really about also understanding that sometimes that vulnerability, which as it's part of the subtle wave, it's like, oh, I didn't realize I was creating friction, right? Like I was just sharing something park, right? And that often happens to me. And I'm like, actually, there's deep vulnerability in the six. And if we, rather than closing up,
Yeah.
continue and stay, that's when we have these breakthroughs and intimacy, because it's part of the channel of intimacy, right? So you've got this really beautiful unconscious side, which is all about embracing human experience, vulnerability, compassion, just being here for it all.
Mm.
And then you've got this conscious side, which is about expressing that in the world and really being a leader and a revolutionary for the dream, right? For New Earth, which, hello, is what you do for a living, right?
Yeah.
Is your dharma. And so I wanted to share those things. And then the card.
Thank you. I really like that's a real reflection of my heart and my soul. And this is what I love about the Kismet codes and your own unique insight into this. And this is what New Earth is also about, is bringing these new, modernized, up to date, ways with us to really tap into that real essence of who we are. Is understanding ourselves at these soul levels. It gives us a deeper understanding of who we are, but it also reflects back certain areas that we're here to work on. And this is the path that we choose to take. We step into higher consciousness. It's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey. However, like I said before, in that darkness, this is where diamonds are born, isn't it? It's where when we are okay with that vulnerability, and we're okay with accepting truth, even when maybe we're the person that we need to look at that and we need to accept that and we need to break those old behaviors or patterns. It's learning that it's okay to move beyond that, because what's on the other side is that is a greater consciousness and a greater reward in which we're instantly manifesting certain things into our world, which, if we're coming at it from a place of real purity, it can be even more than where we are now.
Absolutely. And for me, I'm like, when we own and all of who we, like, even if I am that, can I love and accept it? Like when we own that, and you're talking about it being big or being heavy, and for me, like, it was for a long time, and I've moved into this midlife, this tipping point in my life where things do not feel big or heavy or shadowy or any of those things anymore. And in part, well, two things. One, we go first, right? And so what the gift of going through those experiences is being able to hold space for others, and who are living that and not feeling like it's too much, right? And that 36 of yours can hold so much, right? It's available to witness so much. It's one of the things, that I see in this soul mate that I have in my life. I have a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And the 36 can witness that, can just,
Mm.
doesn't need to do anything with it, can, right, just be with the emotion. And so, one of the things that I really see in your embodiment of your entire soul map is living what gives you qualification to support and witness others and enables that equanimity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny actually, today we were in a class and I had to kind of take them to the darkness for them to see a light. And so I use my own experience
Mhm.
to show them, to guide them. And so when we think about the things that we've gone through, yeah, they can be in dark places, but actually they can be brought forward as alchemizers of like transmuting almost that darkness. Because we've got to also, remember, I had to remember after going through so much darkness, I had to remember that actually it's okay to come out of that darkness as well. And it's okay to have that peace and to live in light. And I think I'd forgotten to give myself that permission to that I was okay to live in the light because I got so comfortable in the darkness.
And it's fascinating. Like I'm aware of time, and I really want to get to
Yeah,
two
yeah.
cards. And it's two cards and four, because I want to do conscious and unconscious for you. That the cards were like, you have to share these with Kelly, right? So I'm pulled out your conscious and unconscious moon. And so our moon is what drives us, but also what comforts, supports, what comforts and supports us in our kind of inner world, right? And then I also really wanted to share on, and they were like leaping out at me, your conscious and unconscious Mercury, which is what you think about and communicate. Now, I was going to do moon first, right? As a levity to the other
Yeah.
stuff. But what you've just said means I'm going to do conscious Mercury first, right? Because your conscious Mercury is a very misunderstood card, I believe, or a very misunderstood code. And it is gate or code 39. Now, so just to reiterate again, this is what you think and communicate, conscious Mercury. In a lot of more business human design, they say this is your brand message, right? It is code 39. I call code 39 the purposeful provocateur. And this is the image. So for those of you listening,
Wow.
there is, you can see some dark wings in the background. And in the foreground, you've got a bare-chested man. And then you have a woman behind him in a shirt with red hair. And she has her hands on his shoulders. And the affirmation, do you want to read it? Because it's a great one for you.
It's a great one. The perfect amount of pressure is liberating.
And it really is. Okay. Now, people with this, and this is talking to a little bit of what you were just saying, right? The darkness and the light, and being the provocateur in that way, and just how you used a dark experience to illustrate the light, what you were just
Yeah.
saying. Code 39 is all about pressure, tension, and release.
Mm.
Obstruction provokes assessment, reevaluation, and liberation. Transforming emotional energy into clarity, Code 39 provokes heightened states of emotional and spiritual awareness and draws out the true core, beauty, and individual brilliance. It unlocks and unblocks. It knows exactly how to release stagnant energy. Code 39 knows that the correct amount of pressure for each person and situation provokes self-responsibility, release, spirit, passion, and freedom. I have full body goosebumps.
I have body goosebumps, but also my heart is like, that's me. You have literally, that is me. Yeah.
And the way that I illustrate this is my body worker massage, lady who I see every single Friday when I'm here, knows the perfect amount of pressure.
Mm.
Does she hurt me? Is it a softly, softly, gently, gently massage? No, because as an autistic woman, that is not what I need. I need somebody to push my soul back into my body.
Yeah.
And she knows exactly how to do that. She does it very well for me once a week. And I process, you said to me, how can you do all of those days? And a part of it is I am a manager, but I'm actually manifestor body, reflector mind.
Yeah.
And together they make me a manager, right? And so I really need that perfect amount of pressure. And it's such a gift. And I love that it's, this is your brand message. This is the essence of what you think about and what you communicate.
Yeah, 100%. It is everything. It goes through every aspect of my life, from my children to my partnership to my clients. I'm always wanting to support them to expand, to go forwards. And it's like, what can I do to help support that? And so it plays out in so many different ways. But I have to say, like with clients, it is a really, I found I didn't know how to explain, like, how do you explain that to people? Like, but that's my gift. I know how to get the best from people by doing something that even I couldn't necessarily explain. But it is so true.
And coupled with that, your unconscious Mercury is code 17, which is the omniscient opinion.
Yeah, I am very much the master of duality. It says my opinion is powerful because it considers all perspectives. And I do, I see it from all angles.
So code 17 is all about omniscience, the state of knowing everything. Code 17 projects its mind into the future in order to be of service to the world. It sees in patterns and symbols and brings back solutions, answers, and ideas. It finds logical concepts that can take away the fear of the future because they survive the test of time and criticism. Code
Mm.
17 knows that everyone thrives when everyone thrives and is fair, unbiased, and committed to finding win-wins with its solutions.
I've gone quiet again. Wow. Yeah. It's how I've been able to move forward from those dark moments as well, is to look forwards and to, what are the solutions? What can I, yeah. And so even here it plays out in my world. But yeah, absolutely. It's like having, because I don't visualize, I often find that I have this gift of, and I am very sensitive with my hearing as well. And I'm obviously very psychic. So I have all of this that comes in from different layers. So absolutely patterns and codes. And I do believe that even as we ascend, like my crystalline body is it's upgrading all the time. That even for me, I haven't quite tapped into something yet. And it will come, it will come.
Yeah. And, because this is a Ajna gate, and it's the light end of it is farsightedness, curiosity, ingeniosity, creating harmonious solutions with logic.
Mm.
The shadow end is anxiety over details, time distortion, opinionated, self-critical, victim of opinions, right? So you can take other people's opinions and then you get really with it, or you can be like, my opinion is the only opinion, right? Like you can fully go in on that. But it's fascinating to see like this, we're not ever one thing, in the same way as people are always like, oh, I'm a Leo, or I'm a Gemini, or I'm a this. And you are 70% your conscious sun, right? And it's about expressing your emotions creatively. And we recognize you've got two spontaneous waves. There's a lot of emotion to express.
Yeah.
And like for me, that's the embodying bit. So then it's like, okay, what is it that supports you? What comforts you? And so these are the last two I want to tap into. So we've got your conscious moon is gate 55, which is the free spirit. And she's beautiful. And I'm going to show you the card in a second. I'm just finding the words. So this is your conscious moon.
I thought you said 55. So I see fives everywhere. So
Mm.
55555. I always see fives. That's really weird. When I play, I access the spirit of abundance. This is what I was saying earlier. Like when I go into this free, like child state that was kind of down for me. Yeah, it's effortless.
Yeah. And so when you were talking about the shadow and the density and all of that earlier, it's like, and your moon, like what supports you and what
Yeah.
you really get to acknowledge for yourself and make space for in your life is 55. And the drawing, she is a young girl with butterflies and light on it. And code 55 is all about freedom, the freedom of spirit and abundance. Freedom is an orientation and not something to be chased, but something that lives in each individual moment. You also said earlier romantic. You said mushy or something like that. Romantic, innocent, playful, and emotional. It is changeable and uncontrollable. Code 55 knows that the earth is a veritable playground for the divine to play in infinite expression, and that abundance is the very nature of life itself.
I know this through to my core. Yeah, 100%.
And that's
And ironically, I could, if there was a horse in that picture, that would be my picture of me as a child.
Aww.
Yeah.
So that's your inner world. That's what you consciously know supports and comforts you. And I'm waiting for our internet to catch up and come back, and it will. Your unconscious moon is gate 50 or code 50. And this is, I'm going to show you the picture and then I'll find it in a second. So just in
I feel
case.
like there's a lot of Mars in that energy.
Let me, I'm going to find you.
Preserving good values.
Sorry, I pulled it away just as you were reading it. Try again.
Preserving good values serves to enrich the present and the future.
And so gate 50 or code 50,
beautiful.
I call her the equilibrium evaluator. So the equilibrium evaluator is all about collective responsibility, harmony, and values. The frequency of the collective is determined by its values. Equilibrium and integrity is preserved by ensuring values are upheld. Code 50 knows that groups are only as healthy as each member and offers rules that secure and maintain prosperity and ensure that responsibility doesn't fall onto one person. Harmony is created by many singing from the same song sheet.
Again, chills. And I embody that in my design as well, and it plays out in the communities that I have. And I'm always wanting that equilibrium of diversity and ethical kind of, I'm really feel quite responsible for that, to ensure that I'm providing these for those that have come through like trauma or have come through some of these darknesses in their lives, that it's not only safe and a place where it's unjudged, but it also offers support that's equal and balanced, and brings harmony.
I really see
So
that.
I really do. Really see that.
I really see it. And I really, when I look at the card and when I drew her, she reminds me of like an Eastern European mama or like a Central European mama, right? Who's going to teach you how to cook in the old ways, that is going to be absolute magic. And you're going to love that these traditions and that these values have been passed on. But there are rules, right? Like, she'll whip you with a tea towel if you haven't washed your hands or looked after her knives properly. And it's that balance of creating something healthy and sustainable and full of nutrients for the whole community. But there is a level of fierceness or rules or structures that accompanies that. I don't know whether she's going to come back. And I don't know whether it's my internet or hers, but what I do know is that I have had a lot of fun recording this episode with Kelly. and I will make sure that all of her links are in the show notes for you to find out more about her work, about her community, about the spaces that she holds so beautifully. And yeah, such a different way of embodying your design and having a different conversation. And what I love about this conversation is that it's so representative of manifestor energy, the way that there is this kind of urge, that it is totally new, that it's innovative, that it's a different way of looking at things, and then it sometimes fries the circuits of the internet. So I'm going to wrap it up there. And like I said, I'm going to put all of Kelly's links in for you to find them. She also has a podcast, she has a group, she's got a book. She is quite incredible in many, many ways. And I know that you are going to enjoy finding out more about her. Just did an incredible wrap up and told everyone where they could find you, and that I was going to put your links in, and talked about all the things. So, and also just explained that this was such a beautiful example of manifestive energy, where everything is different and has this burst of energy and totally new perspective, and really, can sometimes fry the circuits of the internet. So,
yeah, perfect. Sorry, Ebony. My internet is fine, so I don't know, but yeah, sorry.
Won't be. It's all perfect. Is there any other comments, reflections, things that you want to say or share with us about what this experience has been like for you?
What for you?
Just for you, what it's been, what this experience has been like.
To be perfectly honest with you, it's mind-blowing. There's always, I believe, something that we can learn and reflect the light within to a certain respect, like that other people can't see within us. But you've absolutely reflected fragments of my soul that maybe, I'd kind of dropped along the way a little bit, which is nice because I can pick them up again. And, it reminds me of who I am and, why I'm here, and just confirms all of that to me. But also what I do want to say to you, Ebony, is you're such a wonderful person and your artwork is just phenomenal. It's exquisite. And it really does, somebody that's very artistic anyway, and I love seeing other people's work, the depths in which you've gone to in the Kismet Codes, like I can really feel into that, and it's so special. And you as a person are just a lovely person as well. I just, yeah, you've just created something that's just absolutely beyond this world. And I think some people are going to be absolutely ready for it, and others, they won't know what's hit them. But it's beautiful, whatever way you look at it. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so kind. And I think when we were talking earlier, right at the beginning of the call, we were talking about like life being hard and these tower card moments and those kind of things. And I've been self-employed since I was 14, and I will be 44 in July.
Yeah.
And it's just who I am. I've never considered getting a job. I've never considered quitting. I've never considered doing anything other than getting up and being in service. And many reasons for that, which you can see very clearly in my chart. I have both Saturn and Jupiter in Virgo in the 9th house. This is my dharma, right? But what's really beautiful to me, 10 years after I started this business, 10 years after all of my friends got book deals, I have got every single one of them being like, oh my God, it's this. And nothing's changed for me. I am still me, and I'm still like doing what I've always done and showing up in the same way as I always have. And, yes, I've matured and there's been developments along it all. And sometimes it's got nothing to do with you being good enough, being there yet, having learned enough, having done enough courses. It's got nothing to do with any of those. It's just not your time. And time is such a weird fucking concept anyway, right? It's imagined. All we have is now. All we have is
literally timelines. Just that's literally been the conversation that I've been having all week. Yeah.
So I see you, I appreciate you, I thank you. And what's so awesome in my world is I've actually moved so far beyond any need for external validation, that genuinely, and you'll laugh at this, about a month ago, I was ready to launch my program that will come in September, or the one that we have launched with this, Embody Your Design. I kind of forgot about launching the cards because they were done.
Yeah.
My team was like, you need to give them space. You need to share them. You need to tell the world about them. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I did that. Didn't I do? And yeah, sometimes time is a weird thing, and it really helps to be in community, to have friends, to have support, to have people who can reflect to you, particularly with that 2-line in the profile. We just can't see ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I agree as well for anybody that's like listening as well, that, May has these, we talked about like my vision and, that sensitivity and the emotions that come through, just express. I used to hold back my feelings. I used to suppress them, or I would not say something because I was scared like what the other person would think or say or do, or, now I'm truthful with my words. And when I offer reflection or feedback, it always comes from a heart. And I'm okay with that. Like, I've got lots of really good friends and connections, but equally I'm okay having a small group that I know, are there and they get me. And that's important too, because we're all learning and developing, shifting and changing, it's just like the crazy world that we live in.
And that's the point of your son, the Purist, right?
Mhm.
Mine is Gate 56, the Wandering Storyteller. And before I knew that it was literally my job to travel around the world and tell stories with art and
Yeah.
experience
Wow.
with the perfect allegory, I was told I was a distraction and got told to sit in the corridor endlessly, stop chatting, stop chatting. I was teaching for them. I was showing, like, whatever, because and it's part of it all. We need to experience every aspect of
Yeah.
our sons. That's what we're here for. It's not just to be the light side of it.
Yeah. I agree.
So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Like I said, I'm going to put all the show notes in, every link you've given us, and make sure that people know where to come and find you and hang out.
Thank you for your time, Ebony. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much.